Looker, and I report for the Foreave Stars International all over the world. Well, I have an absolutely exciting star today. Yes, he's a Hollywood man, and he's going to give us some lots and lots and lots of stories, and he's also an author and a speaker. So, hey, everybody, get your hors d'oeuvres, get your drinks. They may not be alcoholic, but get your drinks and settle down. You're on TVSB Channel 17, and Lucy Looker is going to introduce Dave Silva. Yes, hi Dave.
Hello, Lucy.
How are you doing? It's good to see you.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. And Dave, you come from Carpinteria, just up the road, which is nice.
Yes, that's right. Just the little Green Acres town.
I call it the Australian town because when I first came to Santa Barbara and I went to Carpinteria, because actually Dan, he was raised there from about 16.
Really?
So yes, and I didn't know him then, but I loved Carpinteria. I came in 1978. And I was like, my goodness, you know, I was with Henry then, and I was like, look at this town. It's such an Australian town, and I love it. I love Carpinteria. Everybody that knows Carpinteria loves Carpinteria. So anyway, Dave, you must tell us a lot. As you can see, Dave has this wonderful book, and it's an exciting book all about Hollywood. So why don't you tell everybody, first of all, I want to know why the entertainment field? How did you get into the entertainment field? Was it something in your family? Tell us everything. Where were you born? Oh, Dave Silva, everybody, is going to tell us all about himself.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Lucy. I was raised in California. Grew up. I was actually born in Oklahoma City. My dad was climbing the corporate ladder, but only spent a few months there. Spent most of the rest of the time in California. And I went to school at UCLA, and I was working my way through school in a bar. And you know, I figured since I'm in LA, why not work in the entertainment business, right? If you're in New York, try Wall Street, you know. So I thought I'd give it a shot. And I like to tell jokes, I like to tell stories. And I was working in a bar, and there was a gentleman that had too much to drink, and he was bothering a lady, and I gently showed him the door, and she said, thank you very much. Would you like a job? I work at Central Casting. And I said, yes, I would. Thank you. So that was how I started in the business. Her name was Bess Gilbert, and she hired me. And I was casting extras for Cheers and films like Die Hard, and what was the one with Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd? What was that? Midnight, Blue Midnight? Anyway. I did lots of TV shows and movies.
Lots, yes.
And not a day went by, I have to tell you, Lucy, that one of the older casting directors wouldn't come by and come up to me and say, get out while you can, kid.
Get out while you can.
So I took that to heart. I didn't get out of the entertainment business, but I went out to the set, the movie set, where the things were happening, where they were making the movie, as opposed to an office in Burbank,
right,
which I was casting extras and bit parts and stand-ins, but I felt like I wanted to be where the action was.
Yeah.
So I had met a few people, and one of them was Kevin Costner, and he said, hey, I said, hey, if you're ever doing a movie, I'll come out, you know, schlep coffee, whatever. And he called me back and said, well, we're doing a movie out in South Dakota. If you'd like to come out to South Dakota and join us, we'd love to have you. I said, fantastic. So in 1989, I left my job at Central Casting, and I went out to work on a movie, and that was Dances with Wolves. That was the first movie I worked on set. And it was very hard. It was a labor of love, and really enjoyed it. And I got to work a lot with the native folks, the Sioux, in South Dakota.
Isn't that the one where you had that exciting, because everybody, folks, as you can see, he's got a wonderful book here, and he's a wonderful speaker, and I love it. I love you explaining everything. And one of the things, you must get this book because he explains this fantastic, funny time that he had with this particular, and Kevin Costner, didn't he? Wasn't everybody worried about him at one point on that movie?
At one point, there was a buffalo stampede.
That's what I mean. There it was.
Oh, there were real buffaloes. There's 4,000 head of yearlings, and we would wrangle them with helicopters and a dozen farmers and pickups. And when those buffalo were a couple of miles away, you could feel them. And the crew, I'm production, I'm behind the camera.
With their feet like this.
Oh, you could feel them, you could see the dust rising up. It was real primal. It was powerful. So the crew starts looking at me and saying, how does this work? And I say, I don't know. I said, we haven't shot a buffalo stampede in a long time. So what we did was we had 13 cameras, I believe, a super long lens. We had a 2,000 millimeter lens that came with its own crew. And we parked either vans or pickup trucks at each camera, and we tried to position the cameras not in the draws but up on the ridges, so as the buffalo would stampede by, if there was a problem, hopefully you could get to your truck or van in time. But thank God nobody got hurt on that. But during the buffalo hunt, Kevin was actually riding bareback, not an easy thing, while shooting arrows, and he did go down. There was another horse that rammed his horse. He went down in the buffalo stampede, and it was a very dicey moment. A lot of people held their breath. Even the still photographer that I worked with for many years, he dropped his lens, and I've never seen him do that in the middle of shooting. So Kevin's stunt double ran out there with the horse, the double horse. He hopped on his double horse and kept riding, and we never cut cameras.
Wow.
And then of course, I have to say, we were watching dailies, and the money's watching, and they go, the bankers, and they say, wow, Kevin's stunt double really looks like him. And we say, sure does, doesn't it?
But it was him.
It was him.
Wow.
Yeah,
and isn't this the, because I know your parents, you know, they helped you get through university and everything, and I know the book explains that a little bit. It's quite funny. But isn't that the actual filming that they came and saw? Was that the one that they saw?
They came out a couple of times, yeah, and they were just like anyone else. The first time you come to a movie set and you have all sorts of ideas about what's going to happen, and sure, there's going to be explosions and sexy people, and it's going to be great. Well, what's the old saying? If you like sausage or you like movies, don't watch either of them being made, because it'll ruin it for you. It's very slow. We'll get it 2 pages a day, especially if there's stunts. It's a long time to set up. You want to make sure it's safe, you want to rehearse it, and then once you shoot it, yeah, it's exciting. But that's only a small percentage of the day. So I think my parents watched what was going on the set and said, okay, so you went to a university to come do this? But cheers, there's no business like show business.
There is no business like show business. It's very exciting. And I know with your book there was something, oh my goodness, folks, you have to get this book because it is very comical. And I was reading it, I was going to Utah to visit, and I read it on the plane. And definitely read it on the way back because it came through San Francisco Bay. And I don't know about you, I'm not that happy with that landing ever in San Francisco Bay. And so I was happy that I was engulfed into your book.
Okay,
but because it was so exciting, it was like I could handle that, flight. There's a part in the book that you really got to share with everybody. The one in Hollywood, that was really quite exciting, where the Hollywood visitors, all the tourists were going through, was it Universal Studios?
Oh my goodness, yes.
They were going through Universal Studios, and something really happened, folks, that was for real. And of course they thought it was just, hopefully they thought it wasn't for real. So tell everybody about that. That's so exciting.
Thank you for bringing that up, Lucy. That was one of the events that happened in my life. Well, and these are all, Hollywood Chronicles is all about events that happened on the set while we were filming major studio pictures. And this was the event that said, I got to write this down because nobody's ever going to believe it.
Or ever talk about it, because it was like really a kind of a hush-hush thing in Hollywood. You wouldn't want people to know about this.
No, you don't. We like to give the illusion that everything's under control.
Oh, yeah, right. We got it all handled.
Sure. And we have hundreds of crew members making sure of that, and lots of smart people and safety people. But what happened was we were shooting City Slickers, which was a great film. Billy Crystal, one of the nicest people I've ever worked with. And they had already shot some second unit in Pamplona with the running of the bulls.
Oh my gosh, talking about Pamplona, I've been to Pamplona. Oh my goodness, that was funny. Henry and I, when we traveled the world, oh my goodness. When you go to Pamplona, folks, I'm sure many of you have done this that have gone to Spain, because it's kind of like coming to LA and not going to Hollywood.
Right.
So you go to Pamplona if you're there at the time when they let the balls out. But it is so real, and it is real, and it's scary as hell, because whether you like it or not, if you're on the street, you better be running your little booty off.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, is there an alley? Is there an alley? And
you were on the street?
I went on the street, because I was like, you know me, I was young then, and I was like wandering around, and really, there's Spanish. I didn't know Spanish, and I was like, oh yeah, go to Pamplona, it's really great. They're not really understanding
Oh my gosh.
what Pamplona is really about, and not understanding, oh, it's July, I think it's July the 8th or something weird, not even figuring that out, just because you're traveling. I
Right.
traveled for a whole year around Europe and hitchhiked, and just it was like you'd meet people and they'd be going, oh, goes to Pamplona if you're in Spain. Oh, okay, let's head Pamplona and end up in Barcelona,
Sure.
up there and down there, come through Portugal, which is what we did. And we just walked into this town, and we're just like looking around, and we didn't even realize, because it was almost silent at the point when we got there, right? Nobody was anywhere. And then all of a sudden, like you say, you can hear something. And the crowd, all of a sudden, was nowhere. All of a sudden, people looking out of windows above your head. And we're on the street. It's like, what the heck's going on? All of a sudden, we look behind. Everybody's running. And we're like,
run for your life.
And people were like saying in Spanish, bulls or something. And we're like, what?
El toro, el toro.
Yeah, it was like, oh my God. So I remember just running and there was an alleyway. And me and Henry just threw ourselves in this alleyway and watched. Oh my God, it's like, ooh, we were lucky.
Yeah.
It didn't, I was like, wow, I never knew. Wouldn't you have to buy tickets? I was thinking later, why is it so unorganized? And I was like, whoa. And I tell you, but Pamplona is great. But honestly, folks, you're supposed to really go up high and look out at some of the restaurants or get to know the people, and you can see it very nicely up there. But no, don't be just walking on the street. If it's very silent in Pamplona, run for your life.
Yes.
Seriously. So I have a story of Pamplona. We didn't stay too long. We got out of there like the next day, because it was like, let's go find somewhere peaceful where we can hang out.
There you go.
But it was exciting. It was a very exciting time, traveling when you're young is exciting, I think.
Good for you.
So tell everybody, sorry, I had to interrupt to tell
Sure.
you my story because it was so funny. But tell us more about this, because this
Sure.
is good. This is in Hollywood now.
So we.
But it was in Universal Studios,
right.
even though, right?
Right. We had shot in Pamplona with
get
a
it.
second unit,
Okay.
and then we came back and we recreated Pamplona streets. They have a European street on Universal's back lot.
Oh, they do.
So we were there, and we were running the bulls and getting our close-ups on Billy and Bruno and Danny Stern, and it was all going well. We had a very professional group of wranglers, and we had steers, which are more docile than bulls, right? They've been neutered, but even the steers.
What was the name of the movie again?
City Slickers.
City Slickers.
Right,
That's
right. A group of guys from New York decided to go out for a week and wrangle cattle.
Oh,
Go on a
wow.
cattle drive.
Okay.
And of course they're at a place, being New Yorkers. So anyway, so we're shooting this scene, and the bulls at the end of the run, the wranglers would come and wrap them on the snout with these bamboo poles, and that would get them to go back and reset. Well, some of these bulls were tired of this at the end of the day, so they wrapped one on the nose, and he said, "I'm done." And he lurched over this 6-foot fence and took off across Universal's back lot. And everybody stood there for a second, and the wranglers grabbed their horses and chased him. And I grabbed the prop guy's bicycle. I said, I am not missing this. And I went across the back lot, and it's empty. There's nobody shooting at the time. This was mid-90s. So I'm thinking, great, thank God, we're going to be okay. And then, of course, here comes a big tram, the tourist tram, and it's like a golf cart with 10 seats, and then there's a little turnbuckle and 10 more seats and another car. And it's full to the brim, and there's Japanese tourists, and everybody's got cameras, and I'm thinking, please, God, don't go near him. And that bull sees him, and of course he charges him. And I think there's going to be dozens of people injured, if not killed, and this is a mess.
Yeah.
And of course, somehow this bull becomes Nureyev and jumps right between the two cars with inches to spare over the turnbuckle. Everybody's laughing and shooting as the thing goes by, and there goes the tram, and the horse just goes right over to the hillside, starts eating some grass. They slip the rope on there, and they take them back. Then about an hour later,
This is a buffalo.
Excuse me, this was a bull.
It was a bull.
It was the steer.
The steer.
Right, and from the running of the bulls.
Right.
So then about an hour later, a tourist tram guy and his boss comes frantic like, oh my God, what do you do? By this time we had wrapped camera, and we said, don't know what you're talking about. We're going to lunch. And so that was the end of that story.
That was. I was reading that. I was on the plane. I was like laughing my head off, going, "Oh my God!" Because Universal, they could have got sued. I mean, the production company could have got sued at the.
Oh, it would have been a literal and virtual bloodbath. It was. I thought it was. It was
sure it was going to come bad.
It was one of those moments of movie magic where nobody could believe it. Nobody could believe it happened.
Everything was in rhythm.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as you said in the book, so many people out there, the Japanese tourists or any other tourists that were on this, have probably got wonderful films of the actual bull coming across over the top of them. And they're talking about it now for years and years and years later.
And of course, as the tram pulled by and I went by my bicycle, I just went, "Hey folks, all part of the show."
Yeah.
I played it off.
Unbelievable. Oh, this book is really, really exciting. So tell me, Dave, a little bit about your personal life. Are you married? Do you have children?
Yes, I'm married. My wife, Stacy, we were both working on the film Waterworld in the 90s, and we have 2 children. Emily's 11, and Ryan will be 9 next month. And we love living in Carpinteria. In fact, I lived in LA most of my life, and we were building a house down in LA in Manhattan Beach. And during that time, we stayed in Carpinteria while we were building. And when we were done building, I said, "I like Carpinteria better than LA."
And it's got the beach as well. What are we doing, right?
It's a nice little town, and California used to be full of towns like Carpinteria. Little sleepy beach towns with fishermen and surfers and whatnot. And a lot of them have become, overpriced and gentrified in Beverly Hills and whatnot. So this is a real gem, having Carpinteria here.
Yeah, it's lovely. And also you're so close to Santa Barbara, and
yes.
We're in the Dream Machine here is in Goleta, and we're all close. I was saying yesterday that there's something so special about this area. Everybody is willing to share their lives, share their stories, and open up to each other, and just be what I feel the world needs right now is givingness, lovingness, selflessness. And I think it's happening. It's happening here a lot, I feel. And I don't know, it's always been special to me, the spirituality of this place. I began as a Buddhist in this town. Somebody told me about Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, which is Tina Turner, Herbie Hancock, and you've heard it all because you're in Hollywood. So everybody in Hollywood, there's at least 1 or 2 people that chant probably now.
Sure.
And so it was very special to me. And I think that they always say, wherever you actually, somebody shares this with you, it seems that's where you end up staying. It's like that's your purpose, that's your mission. I don't know. But I ended up staying here because of the love of the atmosphere. And I think that's probably what was drawing you as you were building your house down there, but coming down here, coming here, you kept feeling this. So Summerland, that big Summerland yellow house,
yes,
it's very spiritual
as
well, very spiritual around there. And but that's why I think we all love, this area. So your children actually go to school here and everything, right?
Yes, that was one of the big reasons we wanted to come up here. I was having nightmares that my daughter was going to have, neck tattoos or something. So we wanted to leave LA and come here, and we love it here. Anytime somebody complains, I say, "Hello, you're in paradise. You're in Santa Barbara County. Keep that in mind." And we do love Santa Barbara. My wife especially, loves coming into Santa Barbara. I myself, I think Santa Barbara is a much more aware town, and people there's lots of vegetarians, lots of people working on themselves,
right.
Not judging others so much.
Yes.
And there is again, on my soapbox for a minute, there is a large population of homeless people here, and I do see it kind of a dichotomy, and personally I think some of the homeless people, they're very rude, and they do detract from State Street. But personally, I think if somebody takes a van full of peanut butter sandwiches on Sunday and hands them out to them, you know what? They're human beings. And if you show them a little love, I'm not saying they're going to be perfect, but they'll be better off, as we all are.
Well, I think that, as far as that, I think that it's not a choice that people want to be poor. I don't think it's a choice that they want to be sick. But I do also believe that the weak, the strong, always have to take care of the weak. I just think there's different times when we all become strong and we all become weak. And at that particular time, I think it's up to each and every one of us. We teach our children was saying this to someone the other day. We teach our children to really take care of their younger siblings. We say, take care of your brothers, take care of your sisters if they're younger. We say, take care of your friends if they're sick.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard for me when I hear adults getting all bent out of shape because we may have to take care of somebody that's going through a rough time right now. Do you know, it's like cooperation. That's what this is all about. Foreave Stars International Cooperative is about us cooperating together and having a wonderful life and enjoying each other's life. But we can't enjoy our own life if we see somebody that's not enjoying theirs. And that is what I don't understand, that many people don't get that. They're like, no, I'm going to take care of my family. I'm going to take care of myself and my family only. You can't. Things can't keep dropping off into groups. We can't keep going off into groups. You know,
That's very true.
We can't do that because it doesn't work. We are all connected.
Mm-hmm.
Scientifically, they've proven this. The atoms between people are always there. You know, I can have a thought here and somebody on the other side of the world can have exactly the same thought. Nothing is new. It's just that somebody had the smarts to market it. But nothing is new.
It's true.
Even in music, I mean, nothing is new. There's the basics of how music is made, and then people just keep creating different musics from that, sounds from that, and there's somebody across the other side of the world doing the same thing as what you're doing here. It's just, there is a uniqueness about each and every one of us because we have the DNA, but basically, the thoughts that we have and our hearts, that needs to be open for each other because you can't rule yourself by your head. Your heart has to rule you in the end. If it doesn't, you won't be happy.
That's true. That's a very good point, Lucy. And you're absolutely right. Even the strong among us have times when they need help. And at the end of the day, while many people in Santa Barbara are working on the new car, the new house, the big bank account, at the end of the day, the ledger that I believe in my heart that matters is how many people you helped along your way. And you certainly can say in Santa Barbara and Los Angeles as well, there are lots of opportunities to help people.
I think so. I think we're very fortunate. No matter what, we're fortunate. And so tell me, I know the other thing, you've been in Hollywood all week, you know. Hey, would you like an hors d'oeuvre?
Ah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
You have
terrific.
to take it from the bottom.
Okay, thank you.
I know. He said he thought they were props, so I wanted to let
Oh,
him
they're
know.
delicious.
I wanted to
Thank
let
you.
him know they're actually real. It's in Hollywood, so everything looks like this as props in Hollywood, probably. But yeah, so Dave has been in Hollywood for a week doing something exciting. So what have you been doing there?
Well, right now I'm prepping a film called Goodnight Marilyn, and it's a small or medium budget film about the last 3 days in Marilyn Monroe's life. And oh sure, we got the Kennedys and the Russians and the Cubans and the mob and all the things that were going on at that time. It's a nice little period piece, and we've gotten a lot of good excitement. We've got a foreign and domestic distributor, and we're going to do a nationwide casting search for Marilyn, and it's going to be fun.
So what is the name of that? Is it a movie? Or is
Yeah,
it
it's a feature called Goodnight Marilyn.
Goodnight Marilyn, great. Because right now they've been doing one about JF Kennedy, haven't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I've seen that on television. They are advertising. I can't remember what the name of it was, but they're talking about another side of him that's going on. So that's got nothing to do with that. This is just all about Marilyn's life.
This is Marilyn, yeah.
Okay, but that movie that came out before, I forget which actress did it. To be honest, I didn't think it was that great. I saw, what was the name of that?
There was Michelle Williams in one Marilyn movie.
I think that was the one. What was it called? I've forgotten what it was.
I forgot too.
I thought that was about the last 3 days. No, it was about something she did in England, and she was with an actor in England.
My Week with Marilyn.
My Week with Marilyn. That's
thank
it.
you, Danny.
Thank
My
you.
Week with Marilyn.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I wasn't that keen on it. I didn't. It didn't. I don't know. It didn't work for me very well. I'm sure it worked for a lot of other people, but I was a little disappointed in that. So this one is her last 3 days.
Her last 3 days.
I'm sure it's going to be good.
Yeah, we're not going to sugarcoat much. You know, everyone has their own theory about what happened to Marilyn, but I think everyone agrees that she was in the middle of a lot of turmoil. And so the Bay of Pigs had just happened, and there were some people that had invested some money in Cuba, and they weren't too happy about that either. So Marilyn was involved. Really, I think there's a lot of evidence that says that she OD'd on drugs is not the way she went.
No, yeah.
And furthermore, Marilyn was someone who embraced her sexuality, and she turned it on men. She didn't say, yes, I'm very sexy and I'm vulnerable. She said, I'm sexy and I know it, and I can control every man in this room like that, and she did.
Right.
And her and James Dean are the two biggest licensees to this day. Famous Brands out of Chicago licenses them, and we're on very good terms with them. The author of the book, which was called No City for Dreaming, adapted the screenplay for us. So Marilyn's huge. Even beyond Marilyn, what I've been trying to do is, just like anyone who's worked in a business, whether it's music or entertainment, after you've been there 15 or 20 years, you start to understand the way things work.
Yes.
And being in the studio business, seeing films made for 50, 100, 200 million or more, I started to see where the waste was. And there was a lot. And I personally came up with a formula distilled through 25 years of filmmaking that if you do two things, you utilize digital technology, which we are right now, and all that that means, which means you need a lot less lights, and you can shoot a lot more for a lot less money. There's no lab fees. And the other thing was ego. If you can just remove ego from the picture, it's incredible. And so I've seen a 95% savings or more in terms of budgets. In other words, people make a movie for 50 million, and I can make it for 500,000.
Yeah.
And the image is the same because it's digital.
Right.
And so create the best thing you can, Lucy, like you're doing, and the folks out there, just keep making it the best you can be, and your audience will find you. I'm happy to spread the word about Hollywood and the new revolution as I see it, and empower individuals to tell their own story. You can email me at numerically 09silver, like the precious metal silver, 09silver@gmail. And I'll be happy to answer anybody. I'm happy to mentor people, and like I said, there's so many illusions about the entertainment business. I'm sure you've learned. It's not so glamorous sometimes, is it?
No.
But
you have to make it glamorous.
Yes, you do.
You yourself have to make it glamorous.
I would tell my crew when they would start to drag after 6 months of 18-hour days, I'd say, find a reason to be happy today. Yeah. Find the joy, and you can. And so what I'd like to, the last thing I'd like to say, folks, and thank you so much, Lucy, for having me, is I'd just like to say, the reason I wrote this book is the people in Hollywood that make 20 million a day, they put their pants on just like you. And I've met people all across the spectrum, and people are all the same. And the guy that's making 20 million and big stars like Lucy Looker, they're just like us. So everyone, we're all the same. You know, and I don't look down on anyone, and I hope no one looks down on me. And God bless all our viewers. And thank you, Lucy Looker. You're the best.
Welcome. Thank you, Dave. It's lovely to have you.
Thank you.
Well, it's been wonderful. Don't adjust your TV sets. Stay on Channel 17, TVSB in Santa Barbara, Cox Cable. And remember, if you don't have TVSB, you need to get the box. So tell your neighbors, get that box and watch TVSB. We love you all. Lucy Looker saying bye-bye for this month.